podcast right here on YouTube. How y'all doing?
Breath, chest pain, and rapid breathing or heart rate, or if you are nursing, pregnant, or plan to be.
The FEMA chief throws colleague under the bus
Ask
for
your
skipping
doctor
Trump
about
homes.
Everyday Verzenio.
And the colleague that got thrown under the bus brought it on herself. Herself. Because she's the one that told people to skip homes with Trump signs in the front yard. And now the same FEMA employee that got fired for that is pointing blame to her bosses. Oh, that came from my bosses. It didn't come from me. Yeah, it wouldn't have anything to do because your bosses are white and you're black, right? You support Harris and you dislike Trump, so yeah, my ass. Anyways, I'm guessing it's this particular lady here is the chief of FEMA. I'm not sure because I did not thumb through this story yet. So whatever we're finding out is going to be my initial reaction until I read the whole story and get it going through the cogs in my head. That's where you're seeing all the smoke from. Besides my vape here. So yeah, I will be puffing on my vape. Sorry you have to see that, but hey. But anyways, the top official at FEMA threw a former colleague under the bus after outrage that the agency skipped assisting hurricane-ravaged houses if they had pro-Donald Trump signs. If they had pro-Donald Trump signs. That's because the colleague that was out in the field that told her team to skip over houses with Trump signs actually came from her. It was her order to tell her team that. It didn't come from her damn bosses. The only thing that's in the FEMA guidelines is if you don't feel safe, don't go. Okay? That's to sum it up in a nutshell. But really, either Harris signs or Trump signs, and you're telling everyone to avoid houses with Trump signs? That's your ass. Don't be pointing your fingers at no goddamn boss. Well, let's find out what this story has to say. Administrator Deanne Coswell insisted Tuesday that the news of an employee directing emergency personnel to skip Florida homes with signs supporting the former president Donald Trump after Hurricane Milton was an isolated incident. Yes, it was an isolated incident because it came from that former colleague. Washington. FEMA employee Marnie Washington, I'm still going to say Marnie for some reason, was fired after a text chain was leaked that allow me to start that again. FEMA employee Marnie Washington was fired after a text chain was leaked that showed her instructing colleagues to avoid houses that had Trump signs in their yards. I messed up in that sentence, so that's why I asked you allow me to restart. So yeah, this came from Washington. It did not come from her bosses like she wanted to point fingers to. It was her doing. It was Washington's doing, not her bosses. But because Washington is black, she's not going to take blame for her actions. She's going to pin it on her bosses. In response, Washington went public in a series of interviews, accusing FEMA officials of lying about the scandal and making her the scapegoat of a wider practice. Oh, why do you black people do this bullshit? You know you do this. You blame other people. I'm black and I'm an automatic victim. Shut up. I'm tired of your shit. So is everybody else. In response, Washington went public in a series of interviews accusing FEMA officials okay, sorry. I read that already. I read that. Okay. I read that already. But Criswell, sorry. I thought the R was an O. I'm wearing my glasses and I'm sitting too close to it. But anyways, Criswell said the blame lays square onto Washington, the fired employee. She appeared in front of two House committees on Tuesday to testify about the incident, which she called completely at odds at the mission of FEMA that would not be tolerated. Now, FEMA, in past stories of this particular given topic, said if you don't feel safe, don't go to the home. That's to sum it up in a nutshell. But I don't know what's so unsafe about a pro-Trump sign in the front yard. Okay, so what? You support Harris. Do not look over houses because they got a Trump sign in their front yard that affected by the hurricane. So what? Help the people out. That's your damn job. If you can't do it, find another one. Okay? Find another job. Like, go work at McDonald's asking the people want fries with that. But House Republicans were more skeptical, relying on Washington's recent media appearances to suggest there was more to the story than just one employee that FEMA described as rogue and not in line with agency practices.
When I was diagnosed with
Well, here you go again. I'm going to leave this here for maybe a count of 3, then I'm going to continue. So I'm going to do this, but maybe a hair slower, but I'm going to do that. And if you want to pause just to read this, you're more than welcome to, but then after I get to 3, I'm going to continue. So here we go. And rightly, I don't know what this has to do with anything, but
twins after so many struggles.
if it doesn't have anything to do with the story, just cut it out. I'm just trying to separate what I know as advertisements and getting them to quickly out of here. But anyhow, Criswell told members of Congress at the House Transportation Committee's subcommittee hearing that she would request an investigation from the Inspector General to make sure the practice was not being conducted elsewhere in the department. In a message to staff, Washington told workers to avoid homes advertising Trump, as first reported by Daily Wire, which resulted in staffers skipping certain addresses and noting it in their system. Oh, now if it's noted in their system, oh, I don't see where this lady's case is going. The black lady, not the white lady, not Criswell, but Washington. I don't know where her case is at if it's noted in her system. That's going against Washington. So, yeah. None of y'all can tell me that Washington didn't tell her team that. You can't tell me Washington did not stand there and tell her team to purposely avoid homes with Trump signs in their front yard. You cannot tell me that. In a message to staff, yeah, noting that in their systems. Trump signed no entry per leadership. The recorded responses read. Falls on Washington. She led that group. Criswell confirmed that 20 homes were skipped as a result of Washington's guidance to staff. How's it feel to be bitten in the ass? Oh, I'm sorry, you're black. You're blaming everybody else but yourself. Under questioning from Representative Jim Jordan, Republican of Ohio, Criswell admitted that she had not spoken with the homeowners who were skipped by FEMA. I have not talked to them personally. I have an entire team that focuses on this investigation, and that's what they are doing, she said. This lady here, if I remember correctly, is Washington. The one that told her team to skip homes with Trump signs in their front yard. Florida Congressman Byron Donalds questioned Criswell about reporting from the New York Post, citing an anonymous source in FEMA who described the practice of skipping white or conservative-dominated disaster zones altogether as an open secret for years. Criswell said she would continue investigating the incident to make sure it was not happening anywhere else in the department. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, Republican of Florida, asked Criswell whether or not Washington's supervisor Chad Hershey was being investigated. I didn't know Washington had a supervisor, but well, yeah, he should be too. I will commit, that anybody who has taken actions to politically discriminate against people that were impacted by this disaster will have the appropriate disciplinary action to include termination, she replied. The scandal rocked FEMA just as officials blamed misinformation for reports that the agency was not doing enough to help storm victims in rural, I can never pronounce that word correctly, rural, not the city but not the countryside either area, North Carolina. Despite criticism from storm victims, President Biden praised Criswell for FEMA's hurricane response. Deanne, you're doing a hell of a job, Biden said to her during a briefing on hurricane response. Yeah, well, my deepest apologies once again if this was not part of the story. It happened in one of the past stories of this, but, and I'll apologize for that one too. It just looked important to me, that's why I left it in. Anyways, yeah, here's the chief, the boss of FEMA, saying it was basically saying it was Washington who did this. Symptoms include fatigue, appetite loss, stomach pain, and blood clots that can lead to death have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have pain or swelling. All I know is grown adults are acting like fucking 2-year-olds because they think they don't have to take responsibility for their actions. A lot of them think that because of the color of their skin. And if you know who I'm automatically talking about, Don't call me a racist because number one, you're the racist. Number two, I'm just calling it as I see it. And if you don't like that, get the hell out the USA. And don't give me the bullshit, oh, I can't afford to move out the country. Yeah, you will find some way to leave if you don't like the US that bad. Yes. Letting political differences interfere with your job? Okay, that's fucking childish. Fucking childish. And then blaming someone else so you don't get in trouble? Or what you hope don't get you in trouble? Yeah. I know a group of people that do that all the time. Gee, I wonder. But anyways, before I get going fuming on this, I'm going to end the video here. And as you may have known, then yeah, I'm going to keep on top of this story if it happens to come across another story of this. But yeah, I'm going to keep on top of it because I want to see if this thing called karma bites people in the ass or not. So I'm going to end the video here. You guys take care of yourselves. Let me set my coffee down. I'll catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.